Welcome. You are listening to Haunted Histories on Paranormal UK Radio. And hello and welcome to the first Haunted Histories on Paranormal UK Radio of 2021. Yes, it's Penny Griffiths-Morgan coming at you over the airwaves as normal. How are we all? And a huge happy new year. And, 2021... let's be honest, it's not started off quite how most of us would have liked it to, with another lockdown. And when I'm recording this, you've got all the awful stuff going on in America at the moment, which I cannot for the life of me comprehend, if I'm completely honest, when I've got American friends messaging me saying, how easy is it to move to the UK? But, it's got to get better. Things can only get better. And let's face it, as long as you're healthy, you've got a roof over your head, and you're listening to Haunted Histories. It's a good start. And I just heard one of my guests snort in the background then, but never mind. I'll let them off because they're a good fun, the people I've got on for you tonight. So what have we got going on? Well, Haunted Histories, it's back again. It's back for another year. I've got my new book, should be out at some point this month in January, all about the British and Foreign School in Hitchin. It's a museum. Quite a lot of people have investigated it. If you haven't, you need to. It's amazing. Or just go there for a visit. And I will actually be, this Friday the 15th, I will be doing a short talk. I think it's supposed to be at 8 o'clock on the Festival of the Unexplained. I wish they'd given themselves a easier to say title. I really do. Karen, Joe, you get me all tongue twisted. But yes, the Festival of the Unexplained will be raising money for the campaign against living miserably. It starts this Friday. It's running the whole weekend. And yes, I'll be on at 8 o'clock this Friday talking about the British and Foreign School Society, for want of a better term, and some of the spookier stuff that I've had experienced and other people have experienced at the Hitchin School. So don't miss that. Go and check it out. I'm sure you'll be able to watch the talks afterwards if you're in a different time zone, because it's UK times. But what else have we got going on? Well, we've got the new book, obviously still with Paranormal UK Radio, who are growing and growing. Got loads of great new shows coming on that. But yeah, should I get on with my guests? Well, we've already been chatting for sort of a little while, putting the world to rights, debating everything that you can possibly debate in life. And last year, I had Sarah and Phil Wyman of Are You Haunted on. Well, Are You Haunted isn't just the Wymans, as you need to know if you ever watch their videos. There's six of these little blighters for us to talk to. So I thought I'd get two more of them on. So tonight, exclusively on Haunted Histories, I have got Dale and Jane from Are You
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, people. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Good. Dale, are you going into full-on actor lovey mode now?
Yes, darling.
Have you got the feather boa and everything?
my jazz hands are going right now. You'll be so glad this isn't video.
I was going to say, I wish it was on video now. Oh dear. How are you both? How are you coping with the restrictions? Because you're both sort of north of the border, aren't you? Compared to down in Essex. Oh. You're both Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire.
Nottinghamshire. Yeah. Homeschooling's a treat.
Oh, it's great fun, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
God.
Apart from that, absolutely fine.
And Jane, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, working from home and lots of dog walking, so all good this end,
That's
yeah.
been good. Are you Yorkshire, Jane, or are you somewhere?
Yeah, it's West Yorkshire.
You're West Yorkshire. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have worked with the Are You Haunted sort of name, if you like, for quite a while. Jane, I know you've known Sarah since you were both fetuses, basically.
Yeah.
And in fact, I even know you've been to Chelmsford. You investigated, I think it was Shire Hall in Chelmsford.
Yeah, that's a long, long time ago. Wow.
I know. I did my research.
Well, there was a nice wine bar over the road as well.
I don't know. No, yeah, you got a pub called the Saracen's Head over the way.
Right. Must have been that one, but Shire Hall, fantastic building.
It is, isn't it? Unfortunately, it's not allowed in it anymore because they found cracks. And I wanted to investigate that for donkey's years. And I was very jealous when Sarah goes, "Oh, we've been there." I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, what a place. Yeah.
But I'm amazed we let you into Essex. We're very particular. We think of visas.
I used to live down south, so I was allowed a pass.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, sorry, I was just taking a drink then because I started coughing. So you've worked with Sarah and known Sarah for a very long time. How long have you been with the crew, Dale?
I knew Phil first. I've known Phil since 2006, so almost 15 years now. And then obviously from there, Phil met Sarah. Doing what they both love best, and so the friendship blossomed, kind of thing. So I think it must be about 12, 13 years I've known Sarah now, I'd say.
Okay.
I've known you quite a while, Dale. When did we meet? Was it Galleries?
It would have been, yeah. Galleries 2008 it was, actually.
Right, yeah. Crikey.
At the Galleries of Justice.
Yeah.
Yes, because it came up in my memories not long ago, actually. At that night. So, yeah, it was Galleries 2008 we first met. I'd have had shorter time for murder, but, you know.
Yeah, love it.
I do. But no, it's the best crowd, to be honest. All the guys from Are You Haunted and what its manifestations were before that. Yeah. In its various guises, were a cracking bunch. We love each other dearly, and it's the best thing ever, to be honest.
Yeah. One of the things I like about you guys and the shows that you do, and I admit I haven't watched every single one, but I've watched quite a few, and it's the real lack of ego. And I find that I quite enjoy that. It does look like it's, I mean, at the time it was sort of 5 of you. Obviously now with Wayne joining, it's 6, but it looks like you are all genuinely interested in what's going on and learning about it. And like I say, there's no ego. Even when Phil gets the mic, there's not actually. And I do have to be careful when Phil comes on if I've got the mute button on or not when the kids are listening, which I told him off about. But yeah, there's no ego. Is that a conscious decision, or do you think if any of you had that kind of...
No, the great thing is Phil does all the editing. He edits all those ego bits out. There's plenty. I hope he doesn't listen to this. But no, you're right, Penny. There is no ego at all. We're all doing it because we enjoy it. We're not there for showmanship or anything like that. It's nothing like that at all. We just love what we do, and I think we're all still learning to a certain extent. So yeah, no, there's no ego at all.
None at all. No, well, that was the fact that we were doing it because we wanted to do it and because we enjoyed doing it. I mean, Sarah and the rest of us have said it from the start. If we stop enjoying it, we'll stop doing it.
Yeah.
We're not doing it just to get an audience. We're doing it because it's what we want to do and want to show people what it's like on a paranormal investigation. So we're not doing it. One of us wants to be, shown on YouTube or shown on Amazon or shown on the TV. We're not interested in that as such. It'd be lovely because it'd get us a wider audience, but it's not for any individual.
Yeah.
No, that's it. We did.
Go on. No, sorry, you go first.
We did, obviously, public events previously. So, and that, again, it was for pure enjoyment, but what we wanted to do it ourselves. And obviously, as per Are You Haunted, we wanted to go back to basics. You can't necessarily do that when you're on public events. And Sarah, along with all of us, wanted to do the back to basics thing, and that's why we went on our own and did this. So, as James just said, it isn't for TV, it isn't for YouTube hits or anything like that. It's purely for our own enjoyment and letting other people see what we do and how we do it. And obviously, or hopefully, people enjoy that as well.
Yeah. I always say, when people say to me, do you want to be sort of, you only do this because you want to be famous and that's why you sell the books and that's why you do the podcasts and appear on things. It's nothing to do with wanting to be famous. The benefit of it, although it would be nice, and the reason I always say it would be nice, is the access to places you would get. Because you've got it's like if Zach Bagans phones up and says to, I don't know, I mean, my thing is workhouses. If he phoned up and said to someone that was a former workhouse, I'd like to investigate here, they're going to go, oh, yeah, publicity, Bagans. I phone up as a workhouse specialist and say, look, I've written books on it. I've studied it for years. Can I come and investigate? Oh, well, and that's where the fame bit would be useful.
Beneficial, yeah.
But I'm too old and too long in the tooth to, you know what I mean? I'm not that, I can't stamp on people enough to get that. So I just sort of, but yeah, I think that's the difference. You can tell it's not attention seeking. It's not for wanting people to sort of, I don't know, the paparazzi to be stalking you and everything after every episode. It is to show. Actually, yeah, I always think your show is to sort of show to people you don't need the gadgets if you don't want to use them.
Exactly.
Just go in and use yourself. And it's always interesting when you're on the the haunted pages and you get someone saying, I want to start ghost hunting. Fine. What gadgets should I buy? And I've actually said to them before, a notepad and a pen. Yeah. They're like, what? I said, because you will not remember everything that happens to you. You need to write it down. And that was one of the first things I ever did. I'd go on them with a notebook. And so every sort of 20, 30 minutes when I'd stop, and this was on public ones, I had a torch as well. Torch and a notebook and a pen. Yeah. I'd write down what had happened. And then, and it went from there. So I think it's nice to see something that's a bit more natural.
That's basically our ethos as well, Penny. It's a notebook and pen, write everything down. We've got a voice recorder and a night vision camera. And that's basically it. It's a case of we're going to go into a place with a night vision camera, a voice recorder, and a pen and paper, and write down what we saw, what we heard, and hopefully get it on video, hopefully get some audio. And that's the great thing about it.
Yeah,
and
it shows it's accessible for everyone.
Yeah. The other thing I like about your show is the beginning when you all decide which place you're going to.
Yeah.
Now, how do you decide how many options are going to be given, if you get what I mean? Because normally it's 2 or 3.
So it's always 3, but we're all looking for venues at all times anyway.
Yeah.
So when you get a venue that would be suitable, it's the first 3 who get a venue who put those forward.
Right.
And then we'll look at them, choose from that, and people do bring another venue back occasionally if they think it's worthwhile. In fact, we've had 2 recently that have been brought back and actually been chosen. So that's, how it works. So I've done really, really well up to now.
Yeah, you are a bit of a winning streak, aren't you?
I'm like a fiend at it, though, aren't I, Dale? What am I like?
Yeah, it's so true. Jane, being
competitive,
who she is, being who she is, the competitive person. She does a lot of research, and she does come up with so many fantastic venues. And so does Sarah. Myself, not so much. I'll admit, I'll be the first to hold my hands up. But
lazy men.
Lazy men, and Sarah and I are actually salespeople by trade. So
that's it.
Not afraid to ask. Yeah. I will ask for a venue up front for nothing. And I'm not scared.
Yeah. Well, that's it. No, that's exactly it. But it's a case of we'll bring stuff to the table, but each venue goes on its own merit. And obviously Jane just brings the better places. But we'll decide between us which place is the one to go to. And Jane wins.
So Dale, has there been one that you've put on the table that nobody's chosen and where was it? And would you go there independently, if that makes
Oh
sense.
gosh, yeah. I once put a haunted woods to the table.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go there. I can't say where it is because you never know. We might use it in future. So I can't say where it is, unfortunately. I can't give trade secrets away, let's call them. But I've been there myself previously, years ago. I used to work there as a ranger. And so
you're cutting the area down now, aren't you?
Well, I'm guessing it's north to me. Yeah.
Well, you never know. You never know. But no, it's a case of I used to lock up at night and I used to trawl through the woods at night and things did happen. And one of my best experiences happened in this forest. And it's a case of I want to go there again, but I want to go there as a team. I'd love to go there. But at the time, something else was better. It was probably Jane's venue that was chosen, to be honest.
Meow.
There's probably 90% chance that it was Jane's venue. But yeah, the woods is one place I'd love to go again, definitely.
And what about you, Jane? Have you ever had one of yours not chosen that...
Yeah, I have. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult for Jane.
Yeah, I can't. I have had them that have not been chosen, but I'm just trying to think what hasn't. Oh, Penny, you've got me. I can't think.
Well, that just shows 90% of yours do get chosen then, doesn't it?
It is. It's true. It's true.
I like to try and find places where no one's ever been.
Yeah.
Or very few people have been.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I found that when I did Timenham Airfield for my second book, nobody's ever investigated it. And it was quite nice to not have anything to compare it to.
No preconceptions.
Yeah. And nobody will ever investigate it because I got in as a special favour. So, it's not somewhere that's going to start. It's not one that most people would want to because there's not a lot left. The only thing really left from World War II are the runways. And that's make for good TV. But when you can, there's some of the stuff that happened there that I was actually able to verify historically, correct names and things that came through the spirit box.
Wow.
You kind of, even my dad was sort of like, wow. I like those kind of places. I tell you what, I would like to do a mill, a cotton mill, a wool mill, like one that's because my mum comes from Lancashire and the town she was from in Lancashire, I think had 7 mills at one point, and it's that whole Victorian thing, but it fascinates me, and I just
have you been over to Armley Mills?
Pardon?
Have you ever been over to Armley Mills in Leeds?
Armley, no, I did a show on it. God, 3 years ago, something like that, and it's on my. Mark Dudley and I were talking about this the other day. He helps co-run the Haunted Histories page with me, and that's one of his wish lists. I know that was a wool mill, but I think because being my mum being Lancastrian, and I do remember when I was little, sort of going out with my nan and talking to someone and noticing they were using this weird sign language with each other, and me sort of saying to my nan, are they, as kids do, are they deaf? And she said no, they used to work in the mill, and because it was so loud, they use sign language.
Right.
Yeah.
I did get talking to a Lancastrian mill that did agree with us that they would be open to something. Then unfortunately another sort of heritage group took it over and that fell through, unfortunately. Yeah. So I never managed to get in. I'll not say where it is in case my mithering comes to something at some point, but Sarah and I have done a couple of mills back in the day as well.
I find that's that, and I mean, to be honest, I'll investigate anyway. But my favourite things are probably workhouses. I'd love to do a mill and airfields because they're my specialist subjects. But woods are an interesting one. What's the woods I did? It was near Brighton. It's quite a well-known one, and I had some very weird shit happen there.
Yeah, they are brilliant because they're so different to being inside a building.
A lot of environmentals, though.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh yeah, there is. But as I say, what I experienced was definitely not environmental. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Well, I remember when I was at this woods, I was with Kerry Greenaway and Richard Clements, who do the Paranormal Concept Show, and another chap, Andy Mercer, and we'd got lost. we've got utterly lost in these woods, and we were trying to find the stile to get us back to the church so that we could get back. And honestly, we're sort of standing there going, I mean, it's not like we could see the church. We just couldn't work out how to get to it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there was this really loud bang, and it's the only way I can explain it. It was a bang, and Kerry and I both jumped and went, "Ah!" And as we looked, the sound of the bang came from right where the stile was. And we wouldn't have seen it. We'd been looking.
Wow.
And there was a couple of things like that happened. But I think the funniest one was you could tell I grew up in the countryside and they didn't, because we were walking about and they went, "Oh my God, what's that noise? What's that noise?" And I just went, "Pheasants." And they heard pheasants before. They thought it was something sort of spooky. And I was like, I think the reason that says no entry, this is a pheasant roosting. And that's what you're hearing. I say, get out of it, because if the gamekeeper catches you in here, he's going to shoot you. So, yeah. So there's that kind of thing to take into account. But the one we're talking about tonight, there is a little bit of... what's the word? Debate about it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We're going to cover that, and I'm going to look at the different options. I have my own personal view, but
yeah,
I think it's interesting, all the different theories as to what this place was. I mean, it's fascinating, but the one thing we can sort of confirm is there is some weird stuff going on in there.
Oh God, yeah.
And the place we're talking about, it's known as the Underground Street, and it's in a place called Keighley, which is near about 11 miles north of Bradford.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's where you guys went in your most recent episode. I think that was episode 7, isn't it? That's right, yeah. 7 that's just launched. Now, I know this was, funny enough, this is one of Jane's venues.
Oh,
I was just going to say, I bet you can't guess whose venue it is.
And I think within about 5 minutes of you guys starting the investigation, I was nearly falling off my chair laughing. And
why?
I am going to tell you, my darling. I am going to tell you. Jane, it was your face when Wayne suggested you and him did the brothel first.
Oh, going out now.
The face that you did to camera, I just thought, honestly, I guffawed. I thought it was hilarious. I had headphones on as I was listening, and I know my husband told me, "What's the matter with you?" And I was just, it was the face you pulled to camera. Yeah, me and Jane will do the brothel first. That's why I laughed. So, so tell us about this place.
Well, basically, it's an area under a shopping arcade in Keighley, as you say, subterranean. Only recently discovered. I think it was 2003. They were doing some renovations under the arcade, which is actually called the Royal Arcade, and it's a massive area. Claimed to be a lower level of Edwardian shops in the basement area. If you go down there, it's huge. There's a massive, big sort of communal cellar room down there, down the main stairs, and then there's another room off that, and then there's loads and loads of shop fronts. Basically, they still had the glass in. They still had letterboxes and door numbers and enamel. Gosh, I can't say that word. Enamel advertising signs when they first excavated it all, and then you go through to another section after that with more offshoots from it, with other rooms in there. It's a massive place, and it's pitch black. You cannot believe how dark this place is. There's two windows in the whole of the area. So as soon as your cameras and your torches are off, you cannot see your hand in front of your face. It's amazing.
It definitely looks. Anyone who's not seen this episode, I mean, it's free on YouTube. What have you got to lose? It's a really good episode. I'm not going to say everything that happened in it. And before anyone else know, I haven't got COVID. I'm just, for some reason, I've got some frog in my throat and it will not. So I do apologise. It's a very interesting episode. And what you guys do is you tended to have sort of 2 teams of 2 break off, and then 2 sitting in the break room monitoring the cameras. Is that correct?
Yeah, the whole area,
Yeah, and Jane went off with one of the other team members, the newbie, Wayne, to check out what is known as the brothel.
Yeah.
Now, you guys know me. You guys know I don't say anything is fact unless I have confirmed it officially.
Yeah. Allegedly a brothel.
Yeah. I cannot find hide nor hair of indication that the sex trade was plied from that underground street, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I have gone through criminal records because I figured, well, if they knew that there was a full-blown brothel being run there, somebody would have been arrested at some point.
Yeah.
Nothing. I have gone through newspaper accounts. I even looked at the census records up to 1911, which is as far as we can go, to see if there was like loads of women listed in one place, shall we say?
Yeah.
Nope. I can't find anything that would confirm it. Now, I know the chap who's the sort of the history expert of the place has said he as well, but obviously it's a brothel. If it was a brothel, it's not going to be like rates paid or anything like that.
Yeah.
And that it's a couple of psychics who've
I believe, I think a lot of the information has come from other paranormal groups and their psychic stroke mediums. So they've come up with the names and what that area has been. Obviously, we can't prove or disprove that. So it's, we've gone in with an open mind, and as said, we assume this is what you're saying it is. I will be honest, though, there's only about 2 or 3 smallish rooms back there. It can't have been a very big brothel area if it was.
Mm. Well, I know he also said that part of the basement, for want of a better term, is underneath what was a hotel at one point.
Right. Waverley, was it?
Waverley. Now, I also looked into that, me being me, being like with a bone when I start looking into this stuff. And I thought, hotel. Hotel could have been almost like your pay-by-hour type hotel, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
Would struggle to take that as well, because the Waverley wasn't just a hotel. It was part of a branch of hotels, a bit like your Premier Inns or your travel lodges or whatever, called the Waverley Temperance Hotels. They were all over the country. Now,
right,
for anyone who knows history will know what temperance meant, but from about the mid-1800s until really after the First World War, there was a very, very strong temperance movement, and temperance basically meaning don't drink, no alcohol.
Yeah.
And there was actually quite a few temperance hotels in Keighley, and in fact, if my research is correct, I think the Wetherspoons pub is in Keighley,
ironically,
was the Temperance Society. Well, part of it was, because the other part of it was the livery stables where the big archways are. But so it was I would struggle to think that anyone running a temperance hotel would condone the sex trade in their
yeah.
And I'm trying to say this with as straight a face as possible. If it was I would almost say a free-for-all type hotel, I could kind of see whether it could have come in. The other thing I'm wondering is if what the psychics have picked up on isn't necessarily an official brothel, but I know, and you might be able to correct me on this, Jane, but from when I looked at the old records, there was street access down into the cellars.
Yes, there was, yeah.
If you were after a quick how's your father,
you could nip in and nip out, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, saying that, one of the entrances was pretty close to where that was.
Yeah.
There's Dale will know where I mean. When you come through the second set of doors at the back to lead to where the supposed brothel area was, to your left there is an actual staircase there, a small one, straight through a fire door onto the street at the side. So you could actually get into there. Yeah. And there is an actual staircase that is no longer there in one of the rooms that was there before. So it's, as you say, it's, was it, wasn't it? It's allegedly, possibly. There's no record of it, but, as you say, there's the means to get in and get out, and the rooms there. So
that's what I'm.
Who knows?
Yeah.
As I say, the evidence we got from the night, because there's no recordings that give names or anything like that. We do have recordings from that area, from the other areas, but we can't confirm or deny what the area was used for. But we used the names we were given to try and ask out from. But if we got a reply from those people, I don't know if they existed or not.
Yeah. I'm talking supposition here that, if someone wanted to earn a couple of shillings, and if they knew that there was, let's face it, people have always done it. If they know there's an area they can go to be alone, they're going to use it.
Back out,
and whether the sort of what the psychics have seen has been misinterpreted, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful to anyone. We know with psychics that I genuinely believe psychics can be real. I do. I've had too many experiences with them to not. But I also know that some of them, the images they get given, they have to try and put the jigsaw together. And sometimes they make a circle rather than the triangle that's been intended, if you know what I mean. So, but I say I couldn't find anything that would give any idea that had been a brothel per se. I mean, with the industries that Keighley had, I can't remember how many mills I read it had, but it was a few. So
several. Yeah.
And I even read that the military were nearby at some points as well. So there would have been a call for it. I'm getting too cynical in my old age. It seems to be that a lot of places, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, when you read the write-up, it's either been a mortuary, an orphanage where children have been abused, a brothel. Do you get what I'm going with this? And I'm like, every asylum that people investigate, people were abused in, or, and I'm starting to like, well, were they? Or is that because that makes people think that it's going to be more exciting to investigate? So
more haunted, yeah. I must say, though, I don't know if you agree, you may not agree with me, but I think sometimes, being a historian yourself, so you'll know this, that sometimes some part of history doesn't get written and it's left out because it's... Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
The fact that it could have, it's a little bit romantic, I suppose, as well. But, I guess we'll never know, really, will we?
We won't. I mean, that's why when I'm researching, this is the tip to anyone who's looking for this sort of stuff, is look for things that might lead you to that conclusion. So like I said, when I was looking at the census records to see if there was lots of women in one place.
Yeah.
Things like that. Look for newspaper reports that mention a woman being arrested, and it doesn't necessarily say what she was arrested for, but it doesn't, things like that might give you a clue as to what was going on, because they are there. It's just finding them. Anything from the 1800s onwards is a lot easier to research because a lot of that is documented. And the new book I'm writing, I've had to go all the way back to sort of the 1400s, and it's hard. But things like census records, that kind of thing. And I did look up all the census records for that area to get an idea. And most of the people living on Low Street were in reasonably good jobs.
Right.
You tended to find that I didn't find any, most of them had families. And Fleece Street as well, the one where the hotel would have been, that sort of runs around the corner. Most of them, there was no sort of, they seemed to be family units, 5 or 6 kids. Some of them had a sort of servant living there. They must have been a reasonably affluent part of town, but not a slum area.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I tend to not overlook into a venue when I get hold of one, if that makes sense. I'll take what the supposed expert for the building or area gives me, and I'll go with that with a little bit of looking up. But poor old Dale's gone into this venue and he's only seen what Andrew's sort of said and what I've mentioned in my write-up. And I don't think that the information that we had has influenced the investigation, though.
No.
Because we've not come out and said, this has definitely happened because it was a brothel or anything like that. So I think the fact that we don't overly go into it, we like to try and give people a little bit of information that we're being told. I don't think it affects too much, but it's afterwards I like to have a look. If we've had a good investigation, then I'll start to have a look a little bit further. We've done it with other venues, as I think I mentioned to you, Penny, where we've gone into there and we've had a fantastic night, and then I've gone to someone to verify some certain points and find out that some of it doesn't exist, some of it does, and some of it's actually on different timelines, and you're like, how does that work? And then you've got to sort of put your story back together and against the evidence that you've got.
Yeah, I'm the same though. I mean, even as a historian, if I'm doing an investigation, it's very hard. This is going to sound really arrogant, and it's not meant to. With the amount of stuff I do for these shows, for the blogs I write, for books I write, I know a little bit about a lot of things. So, I can almost look at a building and tell you roughly what era it was built in, and therefore know who would have been king at that point, or, that kind of thing. But what I don't do beforehand is look up individual names or, so I think I mentioned to you that when I say go to a new airfield, I will know when it was built, because I think that's quite important. And the reason I think that's important is for triggers. Like, there's no point playing music from 1950 if the airfield was being used in 1940. That kind of thing. But I won't look up necessarily the commanders' names or individual pilots' names, or I might look up what aircraft was based there, so that then I can talk about those aircraft to see if that produces anything. But and I might know the odd mission that flew from there just from my general knowledge, but I try and keep it very basic. But things I want, so it's like, so if Jane, you and I were starting a conversation we'd never met, I would have found out a few things about you. For example, knowing you like dogs. And with the chance, that's what I'd have started our conversation with, to hope you felt comfortable and wanted to talk back to me. So that's kind of how I look. But it is, with me, it's afterwards that I've noted everything down. Then I start the deep diving. Then I start the let's investigate the hell out of all this information.
Well, there's a couple of ways of doing it with the paranormal. You'll have seen previously with other groups, etc., where some of them go in completely blind, and some of them go in knowing to the nth degree anything that they can find out. And to a point, I suppose it can influence what you're going to find if you let it. So we try and just go in with a little bit of info. Yeah, this is why I'm interested. Let's see what happens type of way to doing it. So hopefully that's working for us.
I tend to find with psychics, if I have a psychic, I don't tell them anything. I've done a few investigations with psychics and they've gone completely blind. And then it is quite interesting the stuff they pick up on. And I'm thinking, well, actually, that's correct. And I haven't told them, and I know they haven't looked it up. But then if I go somewhere with a group of people and I know a lot about the place, it's not that I don't take part in the investigation. I step back. I let them experience and then see what their experience, to see if I can corroborate it. Or I might ask a question that I know is leading because I know about it, just to sort of see if anything reacts. Yeah. It is interesting, isn't it? What do you think, Dale?
I'm the same. I prefer to go into a location not knowing much at all, to be honest. Like has been said, I'd rather find out afterwards. I don't want to go in there knowing everything because, as you say, Penny, it influences, it can influence what you experience. It's like I'll go into a location, let's say a workhouse, and there's a spirit there called Bob, for example. And if I know about that, I'll go in there, I'll hear these footsteps, or I'll hear this male voice, and I'll say, that was Bob, kind of thing. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather go in there effectively blind. Yeah, I like to know a little bit about the history of the location rather than the specifics, but I don't want to go in there knowing everybody's name or knowing what kind of location it was. Was it a brothel? Was it a hotel? Was it a stables, etc., etc. I'd rather go in there going, what was this? What is here? I've no idea. Let's investigate it. Oh, I've got some footsteps. Oh, I've got this audible. Yeah. I've got a figure of a person on a photograph.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I can investigate it, or we can look into it, we can research it, and then go, yeah, this woman's been spotted various times, or yes, there's a bloke that sits in the brothel, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's the way I'd rather go about it. I'd rather, as I say, it's best word, going blind.
Yeah.
Yes, Jay.
Can I ask you a question? Because we never get a chance to do this. What did you actually think?
Just take over my show, guys. Just
out of curiosity, because we'll do our investigations and we'll do our feedback and all that, and then we're like moving on to the next thing. What did you actually think when you walked into the Keighley venue?
In terms of what? Sorry.
What when you walked down there and saw it all, what did you think?
Oh, of the whole thing?
Yeah.
It took me back. It took me back so much. It's such a phenomenal venue.
A bloody hell wow moment.
Penny, you must.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was that. It's exactly bloody hell. This is epic. It's such a venue. It's because when I got there, when I pulled up on the street outside, I parked straight outside, big iron gates into the arcade, obviously to keep it secure. And it's like I walk through them, and you see this arcade of shops. You think, yeah, this is pretty unspectacular. It's a shopping arcade kind of thing. And then we get let down this little set of stairs that's really steep and really tight, and you toddle down these steps and you come into this vastness. It's like, oh my God, I was speechless, to be honest. It's like, but the thing is, and sorry to babble on.
It's all right.
When I first saw this vast open space, I thought, this is it. This is fantastic. This is such a fantastic venue. And then someone, I can't remember who it was, says, no, you actually go through them metal doors there, and then you get to the location.
That was me.
Then you go. It's like, really? No, this surely not. This is a massive space here. This open plan cellar itself was phenomenal. Then you open this metal gate, this metal door, and it's like my jaw dropped. It's like, wow. And I was like that all night, really. Yeah. It's a case of you go into a different room off the corridor, you go into this room here, you go up them stairs there, or through this door here, and it's like there's something new around every corner that you can't even begin to kind of expect because I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about the location. It's like I really didn't know anything about it. Jane had done all the research. Jane had done all the talk about it. She'd planned it all. She'd got it all sorted, and we all just turned up there, and I knew nothing about it, to be honest. I didn't go on to Google looking for. I actually went on there looking for the address, kind of thing, to put in my sat nav, and that was about it. And I didn't want to do any research on Keighley Underground streets, purely because I didn't want to be influenced.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. And I went in there blind, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Well, I'm going to do the history bit now because, I'm the historian. If anyone's wondering what they're listening to, Haunted Histories on Paranormal UK Radio. Welcome. Now, the history bit. We said that there was a few sort of different stories about this place. One of them, it's billed as being the underground street. Now, it's fine to call it that because it is kind of a street that's underground. However, this has led to some people saying that what this actually was, because the arcade itself started being built in 1899. It was actually a business that in effect started buying up bits in the area, and I found some of their auction receipts from different properties they were buying up in Low Street called Turner and Folds.
Yeah.
And they started acquiring stuff in the area in the late 19th century and ended up knocking down a lot of the buildings to then build what you see now. And you can see that it's all been built in the same stone with the same. If you look at it on Google Maps, you can see it's all the same stone. And it was opened in 1901. Now, one of the stories is that this was actually very similar to, say, Mary King's Close up in Edinburgh. This was actually what you see as the underground street was actually a ground level street that they covered over. It sounds very almost romantic, doesn't it? Sort of dramatic, this hidden street that nobody knew about.
Yeah.
You go on some of the historical society websites, and they are literally one woman said, "Oh God, here comes my rash again. Someone believes this." I thought, well, okay, maybe that's not the case. And I did try and look at the sort of the layout of the land, and personally, I couldn't work out how that could have been done, because it would have had to have gone down. It had, you can see it with Mary King's Close how it was done. I couldn't work out with that one how it could have been done.
No.
So then I thought, well, maybe it is actually cellars. And one of the sites I found actually did have up the building plans. I think I sent you a copy, Jane, didn't I? The plans that show that what this basically was cellars that were constructed to give the shops above storage space so that they could store stock somewhere.
Yeah.
Sounds logical. Then the other theory, the third one, is kind of a combination of the two, that no, it wasn't an existing street that was bricked over. It was cellars, but it was created into a separate shopping area for those people who probably weren't deemed high enough in class to go into the main arcade.
Yeah.
Now, that is plausible. That is plausible. However, from my knowledge of the early 1900s, the richer people wouldn't really have done their general shopping themselves, and the shops that would have been there was a butcher, an ironmonger, all that kind of thing. Drapery, I think Turner and Folds were drapers. They possibly wouldn't have done their own shopping anyway. They would have sent out the servants. So the servants wouldn't have cared about mixing with the lower class. And also, the lower class wouldn't have been able to afford to shop at the same prices as the upper classes.
No.
So then I started thinking and trying to think sort of laterally and thinking, well, I've seen the pictures that you guys have put up, and I've seen quite a few other pictures of it, and they do look like shop fronts. And you've got the one that's got a bread oven in it, and you've got another one that's been set up as a laundry. I did wonder if it was kind of almost like not an official shopping street, but if you like, a black market where the butcher could sell offcuts of meat that maybe were on the turn, or, you know, stuff like that they wanted to sell off but couldn't do it officially above ground, shall we say.
Yeah.
And it was almost, not, I call it a black market, but, you know, like a, I can't think what the term is, but, you know, for people who were willing to spend a bit less on something that maybe wasn't as high quality and couldn't be above ground. And I did wonder, because somebody questioned, one of the guys on the Historical Society said, but there's shop fronts there. We've seen the windows, we've seen the doors. And he said some of those doors could have been from the upper level shops, but they looked a bit tired, so they moved them
downstairs.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know what the truth is, and I'm sure there's going to be some that say it was an underground street that are going to be yelling at me. There's going to be those that are saying it was a street constructed for the poor that are going to be yelling at me, and there's going to be those that are saying, no, they were basements used to store.
I think you're more likely to be the basements, but some of them used as shops underground for some reason. The bit with the kitchen, the bread oven, is in the massive area at the front. It's like a huge, like, communal cellar part, is that? It's not even a small shop. It's a huge bit that the bread oven's in. It's really odd.
So it could even have been a staff room.
Oh, it's massive.
Right.
Yeah. We're talking a big area. Dale, do you remember our crew room, the big crew room?
Yes. Yeah.
That had a bread oven right next to the metal door to go through to the next section. How big a room is that?
I'm trying to put something to compare it against. It was huge. It was honestly huge. Almost, I'd probably say the size of an Olympic swimming pool.
Really?
And it had, because it was split into a couple of sections. There was a couple of rooms sort of within that room, weren't there?
Yeah, just off rooms kind of thing, just to the left as you look into it.
Crawl through like a gap to get into some rooms behind it. And then there was another room behind that.
Well, the only thing that I've seen that would indicate they were cellars and not shops was somebody had posted up a copy of the rate book from, I'm looking for my dates here, 1909. And it does show Turner and Folds paying for certain shops on the Royal Arcade and Low Street, and then the corresponding cellars to those shops, and the rates they paid for the sellers were less than they paid for the shops. So it could be said that someone brands it as a cellar and then uses it as a shop to make extra revenue, but they're only charged for renting a storage
cellar. Yeah.
I think there's a mixture, because as they said, some of them do have definite shop fronts which is really strange, where some of them are an entrance with a step ladder up. So I wonder if it's sort of a mixture.
Yeah,
It's really strange.
I
really want to bring you up to see it.
Hey, and as soon as we're allowed out, I love me Yorkshire. I try and get to Yorkshire at least twice a year. It's my sort of relaxation. I tend to. My husband said it's hilarious. He said it looks you just suddenly chill as soon as we cross the border into Yorkshire. It's just true. But what was I going to say? The other thing as well is some people say that the street was pre 1899. I would say, looking at those plans that I sent to you, it wasn't. It was a construct that was constructed at the same time.
Right.
The arcade was, just looking at the layout. But, regardless of when it was done, it's a blooming interesting area, especially as one it had been forgotten about for some time, even though according to the Keighley archives, they knew about it, but they officially knew about it, but nobody knew about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's just kind of been forgotten in time.
Remarkable that something that size could be forgotten about.
Yeah.
It really is.
The other thing is, if anyone's looking for this, we're saying Keighley. Now, I got told off by Sarah for calling it Keighley, because it's spelled Keighley, but it's pronounced Keighley.
Yeah. Keighley.
Being the nerd that I am, I wanted to know why. Because I thought, I think it should be pronounced Keighley. And I looked it up. And apparently, when it was named, the English language would pronounce the sort of the IG and H as a noise. Or Keighley, something like that. And that's why it became Keighley rather than
That's because it's because they all talk funny in Yorkshire. That's all it is.
I'm half Yorkshire. My dad's a Yorkshireman. Watch it, showboy. Yeah.
It's the jazz hands.
Well, imagine I've just told you I'm half Lancashire, half Yorkshire. I'm kind of constantly a Rose's battle going on in my.
I'm going to say you're in bother there, really.
I'm going to say you're fighting your own battle there.
I am. It's fortunate I prefer Yorkshire. I'm more of a
it's a good job.
Lancashire, but. Don't tell any of my Lancastrian friends that because I love them a lot. But I think I'm more white than red. Yes, it's an interesting one. But yes, I do love my Yorkshire. So that's why it's known as Keighley rather than Keighley. I didn't know.
Right.
That.
Learn something new every day.
I know. I thought it was quite interesting. I don't know if it's true. I found it on a historical site, so I'm hoping it is. But
well, if you don't know, we don't, do we? Come on.
It sounds plausible. Yeah. So some of the other stuff. So you I know we talked about the stairs into the brothel because we've only got about 15 minutes left, guys, believe it or not.
Okay. Wow.
I know, it's fun, isn't it? Time flies when you're having fun. We talked about the stairs, and I think at the time, Jane, you said, I can hear someone coming downstairs, but where are they? And
yes.
I know I was sort of watching it afterwards, and I spotted the stairs in, I'll call it the rat room, where the rats were.
Yeah.
And then I spotted on the wall, which you guys wouldn't have seen because it was dark, but I spotted the outline of where stairs would have been.
Yeah, you weren't the only one who said that as well.
Was I not? And it was quite interesting that you're commenting on that. And when I sort of re-looked at it, I thought, she's almost next to those stairs. As you said, you could hear I think it was you all comment, it was you or Wayne said it. I can hear someone coming down the stairs. And that was, especially as it was pitch black, I thought that was quite interesting.
It's because, and do you know what? It's because people don't realise it is pitch black. They're seeing the night vision, so thinking we can see what we can't see. We can't. And that's a strange thing looking back. But someone else commented when we did the premiere that there were steps there. You could see it, and we went, wow, never realised that at the time.
Yeah. No, so, that was a very interesting one, and I spotted that. So, Dale, which was your favourite part to investigate of the streets?
Oh gosh, all of it. To be honest, it's as I say, it was such
a
no. Honestly, it's such a fantastic location. As I've said, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know because all right. Was there a part of it that scared you, unnerved you? Yes, that would be down in the inverted commas brothel area. It was very eerie down there because you're so far away from everything. Right. Now, I can't remember if it's on the actual episode. When we were setting up, we were setting up the Zoom microphones.
Yeah.
And we were trying to split them apart far enough away from each other to get the best possible evidence rather than them overlapping kind of thing. And myself and Wayne were setting them up, and I walked down in towards the rat room, the brothel area, and please bleep this out if you want to. I was shitting myself.
Really?
I really was. Yeah, oh God, yeah. Yeah. It's like, this is really unnerving. But on the flip side, it was epic. It was great because I'm all for that. I don't do enough lone vigils, to be honest. Ben's the guy that does that. You'll see that on episodes. Ben's the one that likes going sitting in rooms on his own. He's like a social recluse. Yeah, he's a typical teenager, social recluse. He likes going sitting in rooms on his own. But I do love doing that. And I went down to this rat room brothel area with the Zoom mic, setting it up with, I think, 30 meters of cable. So I was like 30 meters away from the next person.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely popping my pants, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah. I was really unnerved. I had my torch and I was coming back. I was almost like hastily power walking my way back to where people were. I didn't say this at the point, Jane, or to anybody, but I was like power walking my way back through to the lighter areas where we had lights on at the time, where we were setting up the hub and such like. Because down there, it is so dark. As you say, Jane, you can't see your hand in front of your face. There is no light down there at all. And
no, there's not, no. Yeah.
It was scary. It was scary.
Do you know what, though? I think I'd got a bit blasé by then. After previous experiences, I think I was like a little bit numb to it all.
Yeah, yeah. See, by then, I hadn't really experienced anything massive, to be honest, had I? No. Obviously, that all changed at Tutbury. But when we were down at Keighley, nothing much really had happened to me. It all, for your selfish own sake, Jane, it all happened to you, you little sod.
What Keighley?
No, I mean, other locations, it all happens to you.
Yeah, other locations, yeah. It has done.
It all happens to you. Yeah. So I'd never really experienced that much. So I was quite on edge that this brothel master or this drunkard was going to come and jump out at me down in this rat room. So I was quite hasty to get back up into the area where the lights were on. And yeah.
You were feeling then that you thought there was somebody about to jump out at you? Is that
yes. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, right. It freaks me out. It really did.
Are you a bit sensitive anyway, though? Do you pick up on things like that?
I have done previously, yeah. I'm not massively sensitive by no means. I'm no medium or spiritualist, anything like that. But yeah, I've experienced things previously that I've picked up on.
Yeah.
And I sometimes do go to somewhere and feel an energy. I feel when the energy changes, and I've said that in other episodes as well, that I feel that there's an change.
More you do, more you feel, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And I could feel it. But especially down there, I could feel a very negative energy. It didn't feel very nice at all. And as I say, I was shitting myself at points.
Well, I couldn't, you see, I did trawl through the newspapers to see if I could find anything nasty that happened in the area that would give rise to us. And there really was hardly any. I mean, the nastiest thing I found was a young girl, I think she was 11 or 12, died in 1939. She lived on Fleet Street.
Right.
And what was sad is as she transpired, it was meningitis, but she'd gone to school today and the teacher had, I think the teacher had hit her around the head or something for not concentrating because she was falling asleep at the desk. And came home, she'd gone to bed and woke up crying or something, and the dad had just shaken her and told her to stop being stupid and go back to sleep, and she never woke up again. And you know, that's a very sad story, but that was it was natural. You know, nothing that the teacher or the dad would have done. And let's face it, I mean, it's back in the sort of early part of the 1900s, to recover from meningitis would have been unusual anyway. But I can't find I mean, there was a burglary at the Waverley Hotel in 1877. So I think there's been a couple of mini fires, but nothing that anyone lost their lives or nothing. I couldn't find anything. It sounds awful to say it, but bad.
No, but I think going back to what we said earlier was you could be influenced by what you read up, what you hear, and that's why I say I like going in there blind. Because I don't know anything about it, where by that point we'd already spoken to the local historian and we'd been told these few little bits. And I think already there you've got a picture in your mind as to what's down there. And I think a lot of that can influence you, to be honest. So I'll go down into this dark corner of the underground streets with only one way in, one way out. There was no through path kind of thing, and it's a case of it's bloody dark down here. I've been told these things, and adding to that, it's cold. As I say, it's cold, it's dark, it's dingy. It makes it itself quite scary. And as I say, I think if you go in there blind, it is different because you go in there, you don't know what's gone off. You can just go into a dark room kind of thing, and it doesn't have any effect on you. But because you're told about certain things, it does have that. I don't know what.
It's almost like a reservation thing. Your body's going to go into if you've been told something. It's going to sort of like the adrenaline, isn't it? It's going to start, and that's the sort of thing that's meant to save you. Yeah, I know what you say. I know when I did. I don't know if you guys have ever done the Leopard Inn pub in Burslem.
No, I've never done it, but I've heard of it. Yeah,
you never. That's one that when you guys were saying about when you came down, it was a bloody hell wow moment. That's what I was like because you've got this very sort of working man's pub, I suppose, for want of a better term, in the marketplace in Burslem, which was pottery and everything else, and it's got this hotel out the back of it. That's quite run down. Well, it is run down. It's not derelict, but it's not a hotel anymore, and it's huge. And you honestly wouldn't know it was there. And you go through this secret door, and it is almost a secret door. And you I think it's 3 floors of this hotel. And I must admit, when I went there with Haunted Houses events, and I didn't find out until afterwards that I had relatives who were from Burslem in the 1800s, and I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
I know. That was when I said to my dad, I went to Burslem. And he went, did you know your great-great-great-grandmother was from Burslem? No, I didn't.
Wow.
And I felt a real affinity with the place before knowing any of this. But Chris had told me so you've got 3 floors of rooms. I don't know how many rooms are on each floor. I couldn't guess. 15, maybe 10, 15. So you can imagine the size.
Yeah.
You don't know it's there from the road. And he sort of, because I'd got there to help out, and he said, go exploring if you want to. It's not a problem. And I was like, you sure? I'll go anywhere I want. He went, yeah, anywhere you want. He said, there's one part of one of the floors, and I'm not going to tell you which it is, that women do not like. Women do not like it. They feel really uncomfortable. And he said, see if you can pick up on it. You're quite sensitive. See if you can pick up on it. And I didn't know where. I genuinely did not have a clue where this was. So I go exploring, and then there's this one corner I turn round, and I suddenly thought, I shouldn't be here. Something bad is going to happen in a minute. And it's not like that the ceiling was going to fall in or the floor. I just felt very claustrophobic all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's one bit. And I came out, and I went back down to the break room, and he sort of said, what did you think? And I said, bloody amazing. It is an amazing place. And I said to him, you said there was that area, and I described where I'd been, and he went, you got it. He said, that's exactly the area. Women do not like it there. Now, so I'd never laugh at someone if they said, oh, no, it was wrong. I walked in there and something felt wrong. It just, and the fact that, you felt it, Dale.
Yeah.
And you didn't. And it's almost interesting that it's almost like, I sort of wonder though if any of the other boys felt it. I mean, all right, you've got Sarah taking her son in effect to a reported brothel. But it's that kind of thing. I would never. laugh at it, if you know what I mean. Because it's you can't explain. You can explain it kind of psychologically, but you can't. You can't.
No, exactly. You can't. It's I should say you can, but you can't. It's very. Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? But no, it did affect me at the time.
Cool. I think I just got immune by that time from all the things that had happened to me over the year.
Yeah,
I think I've been expecting things to jump out at me, and when they weren't, I was like, "Oh, all right, then I'm bored now." But yeah, it was all being picked up on microphone and on camera without me actually witnessing most of it at the time.
Yeah. Well, that's it. No, you've just said exactly that, Jane. When you watch the episode back, so much happened without us even realising.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's like there's this thing on camera, there's this audio on various different mics at various different points. It's like, bloody hell. And on the night, it was pretty quiet, to be honest.
It obviously wasn't.
No.
The other thing I found interesting, it was Ben who was hearing the children, wasn't it? He heard children more than once and nobody else did. And I did wonder if that's because he's younger.
Well, we did a sound test with Ben. He's got an app on his phone that does hearing for different, is it hertz or whatever?
Yeah, different frequencies.
Different ones. Yes. Yeah, different frequencies. And depending on your age, you can hear different ones, as you know. And we know that he hears at different hertz frequencies than we do. So we already know that. So he's definitely picking up on things that we cannot hear.
Yeah.
Because we're older than him. It's fact.
Well, it's like the fact that they say children can see stuff that we can't because they're got a different light spectrum. And I know that with my two sons, that they've seen stuff that I believe them, they've seen it. And I've heard full-blown conversations with someone, and doing what I do, I kind of I embrace it. I don't go, oh no, you can't have an imaginary friend. Oh no, you know, I'm kind of like, what's their name? What do they do? What do they look like? And all that kind of thing. But I say, I mean, we've got to unfortunately got to wrap this up shortly, but it was. I want people to go and watch the episode. That's why I don't want to talk too much about what happened in it because It was quite astounding, like say, with no gadgets, no flashing lights, none of that. It was still absolutely engrossed. I was engrossed with what was going on. And say, I really enjoyed it. So thank you ever so much for that episode.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, this is going to be a question that you two are either going to go, Dale's probably going to, I don't know the answer to that. If you could have a wish list place anywhere to do a show at, where would it be?
Oh, God. One place I'd love to go to now, and this is going to sound stupid, I've never been to, is Edinburgh Vaults. I've never done it. And I'd love to go to Edinburgh Vaults and do that. That's within the UK. Abroad, I think it'd have to be Alcatraz.
I've been to both.
Oh, shut up. God, there's always one, isn't there? No, hold on. Well, I'm so glad for you, Penny, that you have. I can imagine that is phenomenal to go to somewhere like Alcatraz.
I've not investigated it, but yes, I've been there. Yeah,
most people have been to Edinburgh Vaults. They're in the ghost hunting world, let's call it. Now, unfortunately, have you not, Jane?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a very interesting place, especially if you know a bit about Burke and Hare. And I went, oh, God, when did I go to Edinburgh? It was before I met it must have been...
I've been to Edinburgh loads of times as well.
Yeah, that's it. I've been to Edinburgh loads, but I've never been to the Vaults.
2001 or 2002, and it was before I started doing all of this. And we went on my friend and I went on like a historical tour of Edinburgh, and part of it was going down into the Vaults. And I'd gone at the back because nobody would go at the back. They were all scared because the guy kept saying, there's this ghost that follows you and everything. And even though I wasn't doing the paranormal then, I was still interested in it. I just didn't know how much you could do in it, if that makes sense. And I said, they don't bother me. I'll go at the back. And I kid you not, somebody breathed down my neck and tapped me on the shoulder, and there was no...
Oh, wow.
I have visited a place that most people haven't, which is Bran Castle in Romania. So I've been there, and I know a lot of people would like to go, and I haven't. But
that's beautiful.
I would like to investigate Waverley, which a lot of people would. Yeah.
Just
so massive, isn't it?
It is. The thing I like, I mean, the thing with America, and I tell American friends this, you are so bloody lucky at these places you've still got standing that we've had here, you know, because land is at such a premium here. You get stuff like that's not in use anymore. Bang, there it is.
We've got the age, they've got the acreage.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Good way of putting it. So where would you guys like to take me on an investigation then, if not Keithley?
If not Keithley? I'd like to take you to, because you like workhouses, Doncaster.
I was going to say exactly the same. I'd love to take you to Thorn.
Yeah, Thorn Workhouse.
But that is somewhere both me and Jane had that experience.
I have seen that episode as well, guys, because that's what I talked to the Wymans about last year. So, I've seen that one.
So that, for me and Jane, is such a phenomenal place. And so much happened there that was active on the night.
Yeah.
Unlike Keithley was all audio and video after the fact. Thorn is totally the opposite. Thorn, everything happened on the night. And it was so phenomenal. And it
was all audible.
Again.
Yeah.
And I've seen visual since, but nothing can compare. I'm sorry, Rika.
No.
Well, I tell you what, it's a deal. When we're allowed to do it, organise that. I will be there, because I do actually want to write about workhouses. So I will be there with bells on.
We're doing it, definitely.
It's a date.
It's a date. You can't see me holding my hand out. I'm shaking your hand. Virtually. Well, thank you so much, guys. You've been awesome guests. I really have enjoyed talking.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Me too. I've loved it.
It's been so much fun, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
I did, yeah.
I did, definitely.
Now, you guys have got a new sort of podcasty video thing.
Yeah,
Ghostcast, yes.
So how can people watch that? When's the next episode? What's it all going to be about?
Episode 1's on YouTube now, on our YouTube channel. We are recording our second one pretty soon, and that's been brought by Wayne. So
newbie.
Wayne will pick a couple of subjects and places that we've been and questions, and we'll cover all those at that point. It'll work through all of us to start with, and then we'll sort of mix it up after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really enjoyed doing that. It was a bit of fun, actually.
It's going to be every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks on YouTube. I think it was a Tuesday night, wasn't it?
It was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So every other Tuesday, we're hoping to do it. 9:00, as I say, on YouTube. Just go onto the Are You Haunted YouTube channel, subscribe, share, like, do whatever you can. I'm not plugging, honestly.
No, you're fine. You plug away. That's what I was kind of to give you guys the opportunity to plug without saying, right now, plug your stuff.
But yeah, get on our social media channels, get on the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and you'll get notifications when we're next going on. And we'll always publish our things on our social channels, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, etc., etc. But no, the Ghostcast is the newest thing, and it's great. It's nice for us just to have an idle chat, really.
We do have an episode of two possibly to still release as well.
Yes.
Ooh, watch this space.
That we were able to film before we couldn't film anymore.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know that I share it to the Haunted Histories page, and I know that, I've already said to Sarah, anything like that, feel free to share. We're happy to sort of promote stuff like that. And I say I did share out the new episode quite a bit because I just really enjoyed it and I found it absolutely interesting.
Thank you so much.
So thank you ever so much for being my guest tonight. I genuinely have enjoyed it. Anyone who doesn't know what they've been listening to, it's Haunted Histories. Yes, I'm back after a little Christmas break, Paranormal UK Radio. There's all the previous shows that I've done last year that you can access either on the Spreaker, I think they're on Spotify, Apple, everything, or even just going to my website and you can click on the link and it'll take you to one of the shows. Do go and follow the Are You Haunted guys. Honestly, it's such a good show. Subscribe to their YouTube channel, and you never know, you may see me popping up at some point in one of their episodes if I get my visa to leave Essex. There'll be another Haunted Histories in a couple of weeks. Don't forget to tune into the Festival of the Unexplained this coming Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Like I say, I will be on Friday at 8:00. But on that note, have a great evening. Sleep tight and don't worry too much about things that go bump in the night.